So good morning everyone. We start with our week 14 lecture, which is the constructors. What is a constructor and what is the purpose of the constructor? Why do we need them? We are going to discuss in this and many other concepts. What is a constructor? Alright, now a constructor is a special method. It's a special kind of method with the same name as the name of the class. Now if you can recall the statement, the first statement that I have written, it creates an object of the student class and then followed by these brackets. That means it's a special type of method, and we learned that this is the way to create the object of the class. Now what actually it does and what is the purpose over here? Alright, now we know that all the objects that are created in the class, they must be given some initial values. Whenever you have the variables that are declared in the class, and when you access with the help of the objects, those variables, they are given some initial values. For example, if you have declared a variable called integer, it has a default value as 0. If you have declared a variable double, it has a default value 0.0. If you have declared a variable string, it has a default value null. So we have done this earlier by using two approaches, creating the objects and giving the initial values. The first approach that we have done was using the dot operator to access the instance variables and then assign the value to them individually. For example, if you can recall, we used to do like this: s dot id is equals to 1. That means with the help of the object, we are accessing the instance variable and then we are assigning the value to the instance variable. But this is a tedious approach. The second approach that we took in the last week, it was using the get data method to initialize each object individually. We can use the set data or the get data method. It can be simpler and it can be more concise to initialize an object when it is created. Now Java supports a special type of method which is called as constructor. The purpose of the constructor is to initialize the object itself when it is created. So the purpose of the constructor is to initialize the value of the object when the object is created. So constructor is a special method with the same name of the class. Constructors have the same name as the name of the class. So they are the special type of the methods. The name of the constructor is always the name of the class itself. Secondly, constructors do not have a return type. They do not specify any return type, not even void. Because why they do not have a return type? Because they return the value of the instance of the class itself. So that's why. By default, each class has a no argument constructor that initializes the value of the instant variables to their default value. So we have a no argument constructor. Now this is a no argument constructor. When nothing is provided inside the round brackets, we know that it's a no argument. So this is a no argument constructor. So it's a constructor. So for example, if I can recall this code, for example, if we have a class student and we have 3 ID, name and GPA, and this is the method. Now for example, if I go and create a test class and I just now what it is doing over here, s is equals to new student. What it is doing over here, it is calling the default constructor or the no argument constructor of the class. Now no argument constructor, there is no need to explicitly make a no argument constructor of a class. It is a default constructor, so no need to make the default constructor of the class. So what happens is s dot new student, what it does, it calls the no argument constructor of the class and it initializes the values of the instant variables to their default values. So the purpose here is to initialize the value of the instance variables. Alright, now what should be the output over here? Since I have not assigned any values, to the instance variables like ID, name and GPA. Alright, let me just try to do this, let me just try to write this code, and let's understand by using the code over here. So let me just create a class, same class over here. Okay, alright, so I'll create a class over here, sorry. Alright, so we create a class. Let me just make it as a stud. Alright, so I will just declare three variables. They are ID, name and GPA. Private int ID, then private string name, and private double GPA. Now what we have done, we have created a void method over here, output details, and we are printing the value of ID, name and GPA. So public void output details. So what we are doing, system.out.println. so ID is plus ID, and I will write these three statements. You can write it in one line also, name, and here plus name, and here GPA and plus GPA. Alright, I will just compile it. Done. Now I'll create a main class. So stud test. Now let me create a object of the student class. This is how we do. Student s is equals to new student. Now what is the purpose of this statement? S dot, let me just check the name of the method, output details, output details. That's it. Now when this object is created, the value of the instant variables, they are automatically initialized to their default values. So the purpose of this constructor is to initialize the object when it is first created. It enables an object to initialize itself when it is created. Now here, when I call this method s.outputDetails, what it should print? It should print the default values of ID, name and GPA, because I have not yet assigned any values to ID, name or GPA. So if I run it, for example, okay, it was stud actually, stud and stud. Alright, fine, so done. So if you see over here, ID is 0, name is null, GPA is 0.0. So this is the purpose of the constructor. If you see, constructor is a special method, and it has each class has a no argument constructor that initializes the value of the instance variables to their default values. So when I am creating this line, when I am writing this line, it is creating a no argument constructor of the class, and it is initializing the value of the variables to their default value. Default value of integer is 0, default value is double is 0.0, and default value of string is null. Alright, so going further, so if you see over here, this is the output that I will get over here, because the purpose of the constructor is to initialize the value of the variables to their default value. So this in this program, the ID, name and 0, ID will be 0, GPA will be 0.0 and name will be null. This will be the output. Main job of the constructor is to initialize the instance variables of the class with given values as parameters. So the main job of the constructor is to initialize the value of the instance variables to some given method or to some given value given by the user. Alright, so if you see over here, if I create a constructor something like this, what I am doing over here, I have created a constructor. As I told, constructor is a special method which has a same name of the class itself. So name of the class is student, name of the constructor is always student. Second thing you need to remember is constructors do not specify any return type, not even void also. So if you see, there is no return type. Now this is parameters. We have passed the parameters, so it initializes the instance variables with the given value of the parameters. So I is initialized to ID, name N and GPA G. Now when I call this method output details, and now let me just try to do this same program. So what is the name of the what is the purpose of the constructor here is, all right, now let me just try to make a constructor here, and let me just now if I want to initialize the value of the variables, I must make a set method over here and then use the set and get method over here and then use those values. Or else I can make a constructor of this class public stud, and I will pass the the instance variables, any number of instance variables I can pass. So the first is int I, let me make it string n and double g. The purpose over here is to initialize the value of the instance variables. ID is equals to I, name is equals to n, GPA is equals to G. Rest all remains the same, right? Now Now what will happen? What I have defined over here, I have defined over here a constructor which takes 3 parameters. So when I call the main method, now I have defined over here the constructor. So it is taking 3 parameters and the same method I have passed over here. If an argument is passed to the constructor has the same name of the instance variable, then we will use the this keyword, as we know, or as we already know about it. So if I use the same name as the name of the instance variable, then I have to use the this keyword we have already learned in the methods. Alright, coming to the next point. Now the point lies over here is when I am going to create the main class, when I am going to create the object. Alright, so here if you see, I have created a constructor. I have passed 3 parameters over here because I have to initialize the value of the 3 variables, right? So this class is okay. Now when I compile this program will give me an error. Why? Because here when I have created the object, I have not passed any parameters, but because here I have created a constructor which takes 3 parameters. So now it will give me that the constructor takes 3 parameters, something like this. By default, every class has a default constructor. So when we make an object like this without passing any parameters over here, that means we are calling the default constructor of the class. Now let me just build the file. It will give me an error. Cannot find the symbol constructor student. Now student constructor, it's a default constructor. No argument constructor is a default constructor. But the point lies over here is that when I have created a parameterized constructor of the class, I cannot call the default no argument constructor of the class. In that case, I have to call the parameterized constructor of the class. So that means over here I have to provide some arguments. So the first argument is 1 integer. Then I provide something name Asma, and then I provide the GPA something value 3.5. Now if you see, it will print ID as 1, name as Asma, and GPA as 3.5. Now how this program is executing? When the main method is called, student s is equals to new student. Now at this point the control goes to the student class and calls this parameterized constructor, initializes I with the value 1, then NA with the value Asma, and G with the value 3.5. Now ID is assigned the value of I, name is assigned the value of NA, and GPA is assigned the value of G. So that means now ID has a value, name variable has a value, GPA has some value. After that we have called the output details method. When the output details method is called, ID, name and GPA, they are printed. So the purpose here is to assign the value of the instance variables. Now if you recall, when I did not included this constructor, by default Java calls the no argument constructor of the class and initializes the value of the instance variables to the default values. So that's why in the previous program it displayed 0, null and 0.0. So default constructor always initializes the value to the default values. Now one thing more, the same rules apply as we have done in the method. The arguments should be passed in the order of the parameter. For example, first I have declared over I, that means the first argument should be integer. Second argument should be string, third argument should be double, and there should be 3 arguments. So for example, if I replace them something like this, if I pass something like this, Asma and then 1, it will be an error over here because the number of arguments and the order of arguments must match the parameter. So if you see over here, string int double is not recognized. So in this case we have to pass the arguments in the same way as we have defined the parameters, and number of arguments should be same as number of the parameters. So if I just remove it, so now I have passed 2 arguments, again it will give me an error because I have defined the 3 parameters over here. That's why I am getting the error over here. So the rules remain the same as the rules for the method. Alright, going ahead. So now what it will do, it will create an object of the student and it will initialize the value of ID with this number, name with Ali, and GPA with 2.8. So this will be the output. Alright, some important notes about the constructors. If there is no constructor in the class, then no argument constructor is automatically provided by Java. No argument constructor is the default constructor. No argument means when this is not provided, no parameters are provided. Alright, now if there is a constructor in the class, then no argument constructor is not provided. So if a constructor, some parameterized constructor is defined, then no argument default constructor is not provided. Call of the constructor when creating the object follow the same rule of the calling methods, just like I explained you now. So for example, over here, student s, if I create an object, first of all I pass the string parameter, then integer, then double. It will be an invalid call. I just explained in the program now. Invalid constructor call. Why invalid? Because the first one should be an integer. Same thing, s is equals to new student. Now it has 2 arguments only because I have defined 3 parameters. So again it's an invalid constructor call. The last one is a valid constructor call. First is integer type, second argument is a string, and the third one is double. So it's a valid constructor call. It's a valid constructor call. All right. Some more things about the constructor. Okay, before going ahead, some more things about the constructor. Now, at the time of object instantiation, the constructor is explicit, parameterized constructor is explicitly invoked by passing certain arguments. But if we want the constructor to automatically initialize the object variables with some default values, then default constructor is used in such a situation. It is declared in the same manner as a parameterized constructor. The difference is it does not take any values. Alright, let me just tell you about something about the parameterless constructor also, or no argument constructor, which we have been talking about. Let me just make these variables at public so that I don't have to alright, public, and again over here public. Alright, now no argument constructor. If I write the no argument constructor or I don't write the no argument constructor, it will not have any effect. So this is used something to initialize something like id is equals to 0, or I can provide like id is equals to 1 something, id is equals to 1, name is equals to abc something, right, and GPA is equals to 3.9. Alright, so this is the default constructor. Now when Java does not require that we should create an default constructor. If we create this constructor or if we don't create this constructor, Java does not give us an error, because no argument constructor is the by default constructor of the Java. If we do not create it, what will happen? If we do not create it, when we if we do not create this constructor, and when we try to call the method output details, the value of ID, name and GPA will be printed to the default values. Let me just tell you something over here. Alright, let me just make another object, stud s1 is equals to new stud. So what I have done, I have created the default default constructor, and I will call the I will call the output details. So I have created a parameterized constructor over I have created a parameterized constructor over here, and I have created a parameterless constructor over here. So when I create call this, this will call the parameterized constructor and initialize the values. When I use this statement, it will call parameterless constructor, this one, but it is not required. Even if I don't give this, in that case default values of the instance variables will be printed. But still, as I have given over here, I have initialized the values. So when I call output details method with the object s1, it will print the value id as 1, name as abc and GPA as 3.9. So in this case, now the values printed will be 1 ASMA and 3.5, and for the another one 1 ABC and 3.9. So if you see ABC 3.9. Now what happens if I don't include this? If I don't include this, it's not an error, right? If I don't include this, it's not an error. So now in this case, s1 dot output details will print id as 0, name as null and GPA as 0.0. GPA as 0.0, because I have a parameterized constructor over here, that's why. That's why it will give. So if I have a parameterized constructor, I cannot make a call to the parameterless constructor. So I have to explicitly define the parameterless constructor. So now in this case, what it will do, it will print the default values of the instance variables. All right. So moving ahead, now constructors can be overloaded just like methods. I have done an example just now. Overloading means multiple methods having the same name but different number, type or signature of the arguments. Alright, same thing about the constructors also. Constructors can be overloaded. So that means I can have more than one constructor in the class having different number of arguments, type of arguments. So for example, I can create two constructors, one taking 3 parameters and another one taking 2 parameters. So in this case, GPA is initialized to 0. Then we have created the output details method. So now in case of S1, I have passed 3 parameters. So first constructor will be called, which takes 3 parameters. In this second constructor will be called, which takes 2 parameters, and similarly I can call the output detail method. So S1 will print this and S2 will print GPA. Similarly, for example, if I can do over here also, let me just show you. So I created a default constructor also, if you can see in the last example. So that was an example of the overloading. Okay, so for example, let me just public stud, I make a default constructor, ID is equals to 1001, name is equals to any, and GPA is equals to 1.9. Alright, similarly I create another constructor, public stud, and I pass 3 parameters, int I, string na, and ID is equals to I, name is equals to na. Even if I don't define GPA, it will define the GPA to its default value. GPA is equals to 1.5. I can define GPA explicitly over here, something like this. Now done. Alright, so let me just create 3 objects over here. One object is created. Okay, let me create another object, stud s is equals to new stud, and I'll pass here 1002 and filler. Alright, and here is the default constructor. Let me make it s2, another object. So s dot output details, s1 dot output details, s2 dot output details. So the first constructor will call the constructor having 3 parameters. My second object will call the constructor having 2 parameters, this constructor, and my third line object s1 will call the first constructor, which is a no argument constructor, and then I am calling the output details method. Alright, so if you see over here, so for the one ID Asma 3.5, this is for the object S. Second is S1. S1 is printing 1001 NE and 1.9. Here 1001 NE and 1.9, and the last one is printing 1002 fila and 1.5. So this is how the constructors can also be overloaded just like the methods. Alright, moving ahead now. moving ahead. Equals method. The purpose of the equals method is to compare two objects of the class and to see if they are equal or not. So here we are not comparing between the variables, rather we are comparing between the objects. So the equality between the objects of the same class depends upon the characteristics or the instances they have in common. So how to compare between the two objects? Alright, so we have made a method, and if you see what we have passed over here, we have passed over here the parameter name. And what is the type of this parameter? The type of this parameter is student. In the last class we learned something, call by reference and call by value. Since this is a object of the class, right, student, so here we are passing here we are calling it by reference. So reference of the student class will be passed over here. That means the memory address of this object will be passed. Now here what we are doing over here, we are comparing between ID, name and GPA. So here we are comparing between like three things, ID and other.id. So we have created object of the class and we are comparing between the values of ID and ID. Then we are comparing between name and name, and then GPA and GPA. And we have used the AND variable. So for example, if any of them is not equal, my answer will be false over here. Now name dot equals, here we have used name dot equals method, and here we have used equal to sign. So let's check what is the difference. Comparing two objects with equals to operator does not test if they are equal. So if we are comparing between the objects of the class, using equal to operator will not test them. This operator will return true if they have the same address. So if they are located in the same address, then only it will return true, else it will return false. Alright, so for example, if I take this example over here. Alright, now what we have done over here, now please now just make sure that if I write, I have a variable int a and b, a is equals to 3, b is equals to 3, right? If I write a is equals to b, I want to check. This operator will return true, but in case of objects of the class, it will not work. Why? Because objects of the class, we are creating a memory reference. We are creating a memory space and allocating a space to that object. Alright, so what happens over here? Now S1 object is created. The S1 object is created, instantiated and initialized with the values. That means I have created a variable in the memory named S1. I don't know what is the address, maybe something AAA is somewhere in the memory it is created, and this variable is initialized with, it has these three values. It has this data. The name ID is this value, name is this value, GPA is 2.8. Now it is somewhere, I don't know where it is. Now here what I have done, I have created another object of the student class S2, initialized and instantiated with these three values. So that means some memory space will be created. Here I have created an object called S1 and have some values. Here I have created an object called S2 and have some values. So this S2 is created over here and it is initialized with this data. Now student S3 is equals to S2. That means S3 is pointing to the address of S2. So that means I have created another object S3 in the memory, but it is pointing to this address because this has been allocated some address, this has been allocated some address. Now this third object is pointing to the address of the second object. Alright. Now in this case, let's just first test S1 equals to S2. Now if you see over here, S1 equals to S2. S1 is located at a different memory address, for example 123. Maybe it is located at 456. So when it is comparing between these two objects, it is actually comparing between their memory addresses. So this address is something 123, this address is something 456 maybe. Alright, let me just give you an example for this memory address. Alright, so S dot, let me just give you some very small example here. Alright, so I will remove all these things. Okay, student. Alright, let me just remove all. I will just create a keep a default constructor over here. Okay, so let me just remove these two lines. Now if I write something like this statement, I will remove all these statements. System.out.println S1. Now, okay, now here what I have done, I have created an object. And I am printing S1. That means object. I am printing just the object. I am not printing the value of instance variables. Now let's see what it prints for me. It should print some memory address. stud@19821f. So it is not printing the value of the instance variable, rather it is printing where this object of the student class. So if you see stud, that means it's an object of the student class and it is stored at some memory location. So now coming back to our point over here, which we were discussing in terms of equality. Alright, so in this case, what will happen? Now in this case, what will happen? Now S1 equals to S2. So when it is comparing between S1 equals to S2 by using equals to operator, it is comparing between the addresses. So maybe it has some different address, it has some different address. So what it will result? It will result in false because their addresses are not same. Object S1 has been allocated some different address. Object S2 has been allocated some different object S2 has been given some different object. For example, I will do the same thing over there. Let's go to the program. Alright, so let me just print over here. Okay, I created another object stud s2 is equals to new stud. Alright, now let me do the same thing. I'll print the object. S2. Alright, here I'll print the object. Stud is equals to S2 is equals to new stud. Alright, so now let's see what it prints. It is printing the memory addresses. Although they have same data, S1 has same data, S2 has same data, because What is data? ID is 1001, name is NE, GPA is 1.9. Alright, but they are located at different addresses. Fine. Now when I go over here, S1 equals to S2. Now it is comparing between their addresses. So if I write something over here, system.out.println first test, something like this. Alright, plus S1 is equals to S2. Now, although they have same data, but it will print false over here. It will print no over here. I must have method over here. So I must have a method over here. Anyways, I will explain you the complete program at the end. We will do the complete program at the end. Alright, now here we were talking about equals to. Now what happens here is, it is comparing between the address of the memory. As I showed you, if I print just the object, it prints the addresses. So here it is printing, here it is comparing between the address of object S1 and S2. They are not equal, so it will print over here false. Dot equals method over here, it compares between the equality of the two objects. So S1 dot equals, so S1 object, what is the component, what is the value in object S1? It is 20084372, Ali 2.8. What is the value in object S2? It is the same. So it will print over here true. Now in the third line, S3 equals to S2. Now S2 is an object, S3 is an object. Now S3 is pointing to the same memory location because S3 is equals to S2. So for example, if S3 is located in 456, S2 is located in the memory location 456, S3 is also pointing to the same memory location 456. So in this case, it will give me the answer true. S3 equals to S1 because S3 is pointing to 456, S1 is at some another memory location, so it will print the value as false. So we can use dot equals method when we are comparing between the objects of the class. Now when we have another method, toString method. When an object variable is printed, the reference addresses where the object stored is printed. So we can use a toString method that makes the object print its information instead of the reference, and it should return a string representing the object. So if I write something like this, system.out.println, as I just showed you, it prints the reference address where this object is stored. So I can make use of the toString method, so it will print the information instead of the reference. So return type is string. Now if I want to in this kind of statement, if I have to use public string dot toString method. So in this case, it will return me the name of the values of the variable. Alright, so if you see over here, so if you can recall, when I printed S over here, it printed the address of the memory location. In order to print the value of the instance variable, I can use the toString method. So I have used the toString method over here, public string toString method. The return type of this method is always string, and it will print the value of the instant variable. Because there is a return type, so there must be a return statement. You can write the system.out.println statement, something like that also, but at the end there must be a return statement. So now if you see over here, I have printed, I have passed over here the object. Now instead of printing the memory location, it will print the value of the instance variables. Alright. So it's printing over here the value of the instance variables. Without this method, if you can see over here, if you see here, it was printing the memory location address. Now it will print address of the memory location. It will not print the value of the instance variables. So in order to print the value of the instance variables, if we pass the object in the system.out.println statement, we can use the toString method. So toString method, what toString method does, when we pass the object over here in the system.out.println statement, it prints the value of the instance variables of the class. So this is another way. Alright, so we can make use of the toString method. So here is a complete student class. We have a class student and we have 3 variables, ID, name and GPA, and we have created a constructor, 2 constructor. First constructor takes 3 parameters, second constructor takes 2 parameters. Then we have created a Boolean method to test between the equality of the 2 objects, and here we have passed the parameter other, and the type of this parameter is student type. It is a student type parameter, and here we are comparing between the value of the variables. Then we have used the toString method and a set name. You can use set name and set and get methods. And then you can write the main class, and then you can print the value of these variables. So this was all about constructors, parameterless constructor, parameterized constructors, overloaded constructors, equal methods, and toString method. So thank you so much.